All right.
And
Um, why are we doing this? Um, so Damien and I have been friends for a really long time, and recently I was thinking, I have the opportunity to connect to really cool people from the industry. And Damien, you mentioned in one of your podcasts recently about kind of giving back to people. And I was thinking, you know what? I get to talk to these really cool people. Maybe others would like to hear about it. So I kind of ran with your idea, Damien. I threw out a invitation for interviews on the internet, on Kite Forum, on Facebook, and we got some answers right away. People really wanted to hear from some people, and they threw out some questions. So the first one was Bruno, who and I'm not going to pronounce his name now because he'll
Godfather.
the godfather of kiteboarding, and hopefully he'll pronounce his name correctly for us. And I don't think, I'm definitely not a polished interviewer, so I think anyone listening into this, put your expectations low. I don't even have a cool mic. You have a cool mic. How do I get
What's
one?
really cool though is this one human, Bruno, is probably the reason for a lot of these connections, even maybe even our connection in life. Think
Yeah,
that
100%. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have met you.
it's
Were a ski.
incredible.
I mean, I had seen snow once in before I met you. So
But
yeah.
that's like, I mean, the man behind it all who created this concept to dive in and understand back when there wasn't internet, um, you had to try to figure out how to build something that was never been done. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's really cool. So I guess we'll let him in and just, even before that, just, I'm doing this, and, Damien hopefully will be on with all of them. And we'll interview basically whoever you want us to interview. So if you see this video, post below, let us know who you want to hear from, why, what questions. It could be multiple people. We can ask them anything. It doesn't have to be about kiteboarding. Again, this is just for fun. It's not super serious, and I'm just not that serious of a guy. So this is perfect for me. And yeah, any suggestions, any feedback, constructive feedback, again, because expectations are going to be low. I haven't done this before, I don't think so. All right, with that, yeah, let's let Bruno in.
Awesome.
So welcome to the podcast, Bruno, who I'm not going to butcher your last name because I feel like you're too important of a figure in my mind to butcher it. So could you pronounce your name correctly for everyone?
Yeah, my name is in French, Bruno Legaignoux.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't have done that name justice. So thank you for that, Bruno. For those
Legaignoux.
of you out there who don't know Bruno, I mean, he's effectively, well, I'm half Italian, so from my mind, he is the godfather of kite surfing. Invented kite surfing with his brother back in 1984. Bruno, from my understanding, you have a book available.
Yes, for now it is only in French language because we had some problems with editor for the English version.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm going to put a link to that book below just in case anyone's interested. I think there's a ton of information about you and the history. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time asking questions about that. I'd love to ask you a few. But for any of those who are listening in and really want to know more and dive deep, I'm sure that book is a really good place to start. So, really, I just want to, get a better understanding of what was that process like for you in 1984? Were you thinking this is going to be a big thing, or was this sort of like, I just want to put patents and inventions behind this because I'm doing the work? Like, what was your thought process about why you effectively did the work to patent it rather than just do the sport itself?
when we were young, we were very interested in any kind of new sailing boat or system craft who could go faster than the sailing boat at this time. There was a speed week in Weymouth at that time, and there was another one in Brest in Brittany. And Brest is very close from where we were living, just 40 miles away. So every year we were visiting this speed week to see the new boats, the new inventions, and try to understand how they were working. And one of the boats we have seen there is Jacob's Ladder, which was a tornado catamaran where they have removed the mast and put a ladder of a stack of kites, flexible kites. And when I saw this boat, it was far in the bay, but I could see him going upwind. And for me, I couldn't understand how, with the kites being like behind or underwind of the boat, how it was possible to go upwind. But I saw it. So yeah, it was one of the things we had in our head without knowing what we could do with that. And we were more interested in making sick sails for boats or for windsurfing. I mean, with two sides, you know, like they do now for America's Cup or for planes, obviously. So we were in Senegal with my brother talking about what we could improve to make faster boats. And at one time, one of us, I don't remember, said, and why not kites? We had no real experience with kites. I mean, only with single line kites, but no with steering kites. So we said, oh yes, why not kites? There are advantages with kites that we could see. If you can put it on one side or the other side, you don't need to change the profile of the kite, because this is the same profile which will go on one side or the other one, which is very different from sails. If you have a sail on the middle of your boat, you have to, each time you change, you make what's the name, a jibe, or you have to change the profile so that the profile will be well designed for each side. So it's very complicated to make something efficient and simple at the same time. So we said, okay, let's try a kite. We have to make a small kite with two lines and try to make it fly and see what happens.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, it's what's so amazing to me is that your perception to go into this was to simplify a boat from when a sail changes directions, it makes it complicated. And it seemed easier to you. And to me, that's mind blowing that that's what led to this sport, sort of, is you saw something in sailing and you're like, how do we make it easier? The question I really want to ask you is, you know, what was your background to be able to even think, design the bridge that you spoke about strength, and where did you get this knowledge? Or was this just trial and error? Did you go to school for, you know, obviously you're good with fiberglass and resin and carbon, but did you just kind of try and try different things and hope it worked? Or what, like, your background on being able to try this stuff?
Yeah, we have no engineering knowledge or things like that, but it's we are autodidact people. You know, we learn by ourselves. We see the things, we learn, we look for information to learn, and then we test and try. I mean, you know, you have to understand that at that time there was no internet, so it was very difficult to find information about other people kitesurfing or things like that. We have the patent data that we started to find later, you know, at the end, before applying for the patent, we had to make a research in the data patent, and we found a few things that were existing. But yeah, we have at the same time, it's not everybody has that. At the same time, we have some brain, we are autodidact, we are able to learn to understand things, and at the same time, we are very manual. we are able to build anything with resin or fabric, sewing machine. All these things we are able to learn and to make it. And there are people that have excellent ideas, but who are not able to concretize it in an object, something that you can really use.
And what would you say to them? What would you say to those people?
The problem of many inventors is that they are frustrated because they have ideas, but they are not able to push them on the market, to make prototypes, to convince people and things like that.
I wanted to, kind of jump a little bit ahead in time, to where we are today. Obviously, I've seen, I think a lot of people have seen different concepts that you've come up with, that you've posted some videos on. But I mean, overall, are you really happy with the progress where kites are today? Are they way further ahead than you ever dreamed, or did you expect to see more by now? Like, how is the industry keeping up with your expectations?
Yeah, I think that now there are kites for everybody. The sea kite is still the kite for the freestyle riders, for the pro riders. The flap kite, the bow kite is for everybody. And there are the rammer kites for foil riders, for racers. So basically, a kite is not, you don't need the most efficient, everybody doesn't need the most efficient kite, which are the paraglider kite or the rammer kites. Some need a lot of pop for jumping high, and other one needs safety. Well, so there is something for everybody. What I have tried to develop in the last years was an inflatable kite with the hose, high pressure hose technology. That means a way to make kites cheaper, more efficient, because the diameter of the tubes is much smaller. So it would have many advantages, I think, but when I proposed it to some brands, it was the beginning of the pandemic, COVID, and most of them, they stopped this project, and for now there is no real move after that. It seems that most brands are just trying to survive to the COVID.
Now, Bruno, you being a sailor, windsurfer background, obviously you've seen this new sport kind of evolve, wing foiling. Do you look at this and say, I see lots of potential for this? Or do you look at that going, not really sure where that's going? I'm curious to see what you see of it, or what you think. Is that a new evolution like kitesurfing, or is that, what is your take on it?
At the very beginning, I didn't think it would work, because for me, managing at the same time the sail and a foil, if you have no experience with kite foiling, I thought it would be very difficult for a beginner to manage at the same time the sail and the foil. But it seems that it's possible now. They have a very large foils, so you can start, and very large boards too. So you can start slowly, and it's not so difficult. So yeah, I don't know. I see many people starting it. When you have practiced kite surfing for 20 years, for example, you are a little bit tired and you want to learn new things. So I understand. Myself, I am right now, I am only kite foiling. I am not using twin tips anymore for some reasons, my knees, and it's a little bit boring for me, because at my age it's difficult to progress.
Yeah, you're not alone there. I think all three of us are happy to be on foils, and these days all of our knees are pretty tired of it.
And another sport that I am doing now, that was one of my dreams for a long time, is paragliding.
One of the things I've read in one of your other interviews is that your comment was that diversity is good, and it was regarding the different disciplines of kiteboarding, the different topics, and you've talked about the different types of kites and how that's good that we have different kites for different people, and that's something Damien and I have talked about on different interviews that we've done or videos we've done together. Both of us have mentioned that this is a really cool part of our sport. Is a kite isn't just for kite surfing. It does many things, whether you're on a snowboard or a skateboard or a twin tip or a surfboard or a foil. It is something that really is, in my mind, a defining benefit. But I mean, do you see that holding the sport back in any way? Are there any negatives to having a sport that has so much diversity in it, or do you feel like this is only a good thing?
Oh, no, I don't see any disadvantage with that. It's you can have one kite and go on the sand, on the water, on the snow. So why not? It's I think it's just better.
Well, Damien has certainly tried everything. I've seen him ride everything from boards to blow up dolphins to boogie boards and and then some. But yeah, no, it's something I've always thought in my mind is, if we were all just riding twin tips, would it be bigger because we all have more in common, or would it just be smaller because it has less versatility to it? So I was sort of, I was curious on your perspective since you've been doing it longer than anyone, really.
After some time, you are a little bit bored of doing the same thing. So it's good to change. And with kite, we have possibility to make it on so many different supports. So I think it's rather good for the sport. Yeah.
So you're in the Dominican Republic now, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Where's your, really your favorite place to go kiting, or what's maybe a kite trip that you've done recently that you thought was really great, or have you been mostly staying put in the DR?
Yeah, I live in a paradise, so it's difficult to find a better place. So I know a few ones of you. Obviously, there are better, or there are other paradise, not only DR, obviously. But there are many places that are not as good as here. So, for example, I have no interest to go to Europe or cold water to doing kite surfing. I go in the really nice place. So I remember, for example, the first time I went to Los Roques in Venezuela. I was one of the first ones to go there. It was a long time ago, and we had a catamaran there. I went by flight, by plane, but we had a catamaran there. So we could visit the best places for kite surfing. It was really, then I went 3 more times.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, once with my own catamaran. Another nice place, maybe I can tell you, it's like a nice story. Once I was on my own catamaran. I had a 50-foot fast catamaran, cruising catamaran. I crossed the Atlantic with it from France to Dominican. And then I visited the Caribbean islands. And once we arrived in the British Virgin Islands, and it was after 1 or 2 days crossing. We arrived there by the morning with 20-25 knots of wind, and there was a small island close to a big one, the first one when we reached this archipelago, and we see a kite there. So we say, wow, there is a kite there, very interesting. So we say, is it possible to stop there? We look at the map. We say, okay, let's stop there to see what happens, see if we can go in the lagoon. And we go in the lagoon, we stop the catamaran there, and we go kite surfing. We stay there for not for long because we went on the beach to prepare our gear, and people were there. There was only 1 or 2 guys, but they were not very what's the name, welcome with us. So we kite surfed, and at the end of the afternoon, we left the island. We understood that it was a private island, so we said, okay, better we don't look for problems. And what I explained that it's because 2 days later we were talking about that with someone there that we met on a boat, and he told us, but it was Necker Island. This is Charles Bronson Islands, you know.
Yep.
And then my friend, which were kiting with me, said, "Oh, okay, the guy with the white hair was there. It was Richard Branson." So we sailed, we kite surfed with him without knowing he was him.
That's pretty
Very
cool.
cool. Very
I had the
cool.
opportunity to meet him back in God, what year was it? The Damien, remember it was the Kite Jam, the BVI Kite Jam, which was a part of the Mai Tai stuff back in, it was like 10 years ago, but really nice guy. And Bruno, I can't thank you enough for your time. I've got one last question for you. And I guess it's a little bit of a kiteboarding politics question, but since I've been, Damien's been kiteboarding now professionally for over 20 years, right, Damien? And Damien was part of some of the first tour events. I kind of dabbled with a few bigger tour events later, but I've seen a lot of industry associations, so the different, everything from the PKRA in the beginning, and then we had other organizations pop up throughout the years. And one of the things I've seen you comment on is about the governance of the kiteboarding. I mean, do you feel like we're on a better path of that now, or how do you feel about governance and these organizations today versus, I know a couple of years ago you've said that, I think we need to improve on that. Do you feel like we're on a better trajectory, or do you think there's still a lot of improvement there?
Well, if we start from the beginning, I would say that myself, I have association culture. I mean, I have been in a sailing association, diving association in France. I have been instructor. I was working for free when I was young for these associations. So I understand what is this kind of thing. And even now, we have an association here in where I live for kitesurfing. I was also in the dinghy sailing association of where I live too for some years to help people. So I am in that from the beginning. And the problem is when we develop the sport, nobody was thinking about making this kind of federation, association for the sports. And myself, I was thinking that there was a conflict of interest if I was creating association, a body, a governance body, being at the same time a brand and inventor with patents and things like that. So I said, I should not do it. I should not be on both sides. But for example, when the first body was created, PK, no, I don't remember, PKRA or?
Yeah, I think the PKRA was the first one.
Yeah. I contacted them. I said, okay, I wish you good luck for that, because it's important to do it. But from the beginning, I felt that they had no what's the name? Not power, but they were not representative of the sport, of the people, of the kite surfers, and they did things that just like, okay, we decide to do like that, and nobody has to discuss it. I never saw that they really organized them like a real association with members that vote and things like that. What was my culture, what the way it should work. So then, everything went very bad between the French sailing federation, world sailing, and all these things. And finally, there were no more competitions. in the years 2008 or 2010, something like that. There were it was all dead. It was terrible. There was nothing organized. Everybody trying to make their own thing on their own. So then appeared the IFKO, which is an association created by the French Federation and the Portuguese Federation. And they tried to make an international federation. So I gave my support to them, and I still give it. And the problem is the international sailing association federation is something super powerful, and IFKO is a very small body. I think that IFKO has the right of being the international federation because it's just an international rule. The first people who create an association saying we are the governance body, the international governance body for such sport, have the right to do it. And if another federation or association say no, we like did the international sailing federation did. No, we are the people who will govern the sport. They have no right because in their statutes it's not written that they can do it. So yeah, it's why I support the IFKO on this difficult work.
Well, I would say, first off, I want to say thank you for creating something that I did for a very long time and was able to be successful in the sport and travel the world and do amazing things, all to kitesurfing. So one, thank you for that, because that is how I lived my life. So I'm super grateful. And two, I just think from what you just said there about the associations, I think it's amazing to look back to say, even Bruno could have potentially started an association that could have been, who knows what it could have been now, but out of his kindness of his heart, he kind of did it to not necessarily look like he wanted to do everything. But in reality, your whole drive was to do the best for kitesurfing and make it for the people, which I think is what it should be and what it always should be. And sometimes it gets lost with, the way people sometimes do business. But I just appreciate that because I think that's really powerful. And it's really neat. That's really neat.
No, it's really cool to hear about that. And hopefully, whatever goes on with the different industry associations and the IFKO and sailing and all this stuff, I don't know where it's going to go, but hopefully it's on a better trajectory. And hopefully there's more people like you who, make a decision when they see a clear conflict and they know what's doing right. But as you know, and I think we all know, it's tough to get people to buy into the same vision and collaborate for the best of everyone. So hopefully, I guess fingers crossed moving forward, but it sounds like regardless of all that, all three of us will get to enjoy the water and enjoy the time on the water. So I guess there's always that silver lining. Bruno, anything else you want to say before you head out to I think I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I mentioned it in the beginning of this video, but we asked you to come on here because I asked the internet effectively who they wanted to hear from, and your name was the first name that came up. So people obviously want to hear from you. Is there anything else you'd like to say to anybody, or otherwise we'll maybe have you back on sometime soon?
No, it's okay for me. I am just retired now from kitesurfing and from business. So yeah, I still do kitesurfing and helping people, trying to help for the best of the sport here.
Do you want to tell everybody about your top secret idea that is coming next week, or do you want to hold off on that one?
No, I am working on different ideas, but not especially on about kitesurfing. It's more about the producing energy with kites, for example. I have already worked for a startup 13 years ago about that.
Very cool.
I worked for 3 years with them, and right now I have a prototype to try to make a perfect kite for this kind of application, because it's not the same kite that you need for producing energy or for kitesurfing.
Very cool.
Well, when you're ready to reveal it, and if you think any of the kite surfers would like to hear about, we'd love to have you back. And if you have any links or information, I'll put that below, just in case you have any resources for people to look check out, just in case you want that. But and again, thank you so much for your time, Bruno, and hopefully we'll get to see you on the water sometime soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you again.
Okay.
Thanks, Bruno.
Bye.
Take care.
See ya.